Hello, YouTube. My name is Highfire. I am a community contributor for World of Warships North America and also for World of Warships Legends on console. You can find my content primarily on Twitch, but you can also find my content here on YouTube under the live section, Monday through Friday, primarily at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, or 10 p.m. Central European Time. We're going to be covering the Dockyard. This one is Laffey, and I'm going to be going over the combat missions, the Dockyard building orders, information about the ship, and such to help you consider building the ship, and also if you're going to be spending doubloons on basically finishing the ship as well. If you find this video informative and if you like it, consider liking the video and also consider subscribing. Otherwise, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and I appreciate it. Welcome aboard. So Laffey is our most recent Dockyard ship. These Dockyard events happen usually twice a year. They span roughly about 2 to 3 months depending on the tier of the Dockyard ship, tier 8, tier 9, or tier 10. When you get logged in, you are going to be presented with information about the Dockyard. Here, basically what it is allows you to progressively build a ship over time. You get to see everything from the keel up to the final progress of the ship, then eventually you get to be able to own it and be able to play it. Most dockyards are only going to be able to be completed up to 70 to 80% of the ship itself via combat missions over a series of several weeks. Most of the time, that last 20 to 30%, you will have to use some type of doubloons, which is premium currency, in order for you to finish the actual ship progression. So, when you log in and go to the Dockyard, you're presented with the construction of USS Laffey. It's a tier 10 American destroyer. It has a high main battery firing rate and access to burst fire, access to specialized repair teams consumable, short range torpedoes. It has a variable smoke generator, which is just one very long smoke generator that can be turned on and off after a certain amount of time. It's usually about 10 to 15 seconds depending on it. It follows in line with the most recent second destroyer line that was released for the US on it. So this more likely complements that line. However, it has HE and AP rounds, not SAP rounds like the Tech Tree line does. So coming back to the Dockyard, you have 53 days to complete the missions on it, and it looks like the event will actually end in 53 days too. Usually, sometimes the event goes a little bit longer for maybe those that may not been able to complete the Dockyard all the way out, and maybe considering dropping some doubloons to complete it all the way too. So we'll come back to Laffey a little bit more here on information too, but we want to come back to the Dockyard itself. The Dockyard is consisted of 20 phases. Each time these Dockyards can be variable from 18 to even 24 phases, but this time around it is 20 phases. 18 of those phases of which you can be able to complete through combat missions, and each week will be open up for you. So let's go through some of the actual phases that you will have available. In the event that you actually complete the Dockyard all the way out and you still have missions available, you will get 250 steel for each one of the building orders that you complete if you already have the Dockyard completed all the way out. That's what one of the couple of these missions here that are telling you. So you get 250 steel for compensation for each one of the Dockyard building orders you complete if you already have Laffey completed. So you got 1,000,000 credits, lots of green boosters, 7 days of premium, 5,000 coal, some signal flags, 2 million more credits. It's 500 steel, 40,000 commanders free experience, 20,000 free experience, 10,000 coal, a underwater explosion, just basically underwater explosion. It's a explosion effect that they've been added recently. Blue boosters, also 500 more steel, 25,000 free experience. Some red boosters, which would be very nice for experience, credits earning, and commander experience on there. These will be very helpful to progress the actual dockyard itself if you're a little bit behind. 15,000 additional coal, 75,000 commander free experience, 1,000 steel, and close to the last here. It won't let me let me restart, see if it brings it up. The last phase on 19 here. So 35,000 free experience, which is the green, and then last is your Laffey on here. So a quick introduction on Laffey. We'll come back to the starter packs for the dockyard itself. Well, again, it's a tier 10 American destroyer that has HE/AP rounds and about 8-kilometer torpedoes with the variable burst fire. There's 3 burst fires. When you enable the burst fire, you have a much more longer reload time for it. My suggestion when I was playing this ship is not to use the burst fire, but because it already has a really low 3-second reload time without any commander skills or without any upgrades. The usual standard damage control party. Variable smoke generator, you have about 80 seconds worth of smoke time. When you activate it, the minimum time is 10 seconds before you can deactivate it again. Very useful for basically if you get spotted in a destroyer, you need to smoke up for a little bit, maybe even dodge some planes, carrier planes, and then you don't want your smoke screen to completely waste out. Then you deactivate it and you have the remaining time. This is a bit of a learning curve for some because some destroyer captains might just burn all the way through their smoke charge without realizing it. So this is more of a micromanagement. You need to take a look and keep track of your smoke generator, otherwise you'll run out pretty quickly. 2 and specialized repair teams. This is more of a repair a lot of damage back, usually fire. It has no citadel, so you're not getting any citadel damage back, but mainly like fires and potential flooding. If you have a captain skill with the consumable, you can get 3 of them. Basically, specialized repair team has a lot more hit points you can recover, but it's generally pretty slow too. So keep that in mind. And then you have a defensive AA. So these are consumables for Laffey. It's an Alan Sumner class destroyer. Again, the difference between the tech tree variant is that it only has high explosives and APs and not sap rounds like the other ones. Standard 127mm cannons as such. So there's your Laffey. Again, 8-kilometer torpedoes, HE/APs, variable smoke generator charge. It does have a good concealment if you get your captain skills and upgrades on it down to, I believe, 5.8 roughly. Just like a gearing destroyer and other such too. So there's Laffey. Let's get back over to the dockyard. So you're presented with a couple of starter packs. The first starter pack will go for about 5,000 doubloons, and the next starter pack will give you 6 building phases for 12,500 doubloons. These are at a discount rate. Consider that each one of the phases is 3,000. You can't actually buy all 20 phases at 3,000 doubloons. They will force you to buy one of the 2 or 6 building phases, and then you can progress much further down with your 3,000 doubloons for each building phase. This is only available for a certain amount of time. I believe it's after 3 to 4 building phases. Once those are completed on your missions, these building phases for the starter packs are usually not available, and you will have to generally put out the remaining cost of the 2 building phases at the end. So they're offering you basically the last 2 building phases right away at a discount of 1,000 doubloons. Considering each one of the phases is 3,000 doubloons, the last 2 would equal 6,000. So they're offering you the first 2 building orders, which would be taking care of your last 2, at 5,000 doubloons, and then they're also offering you 6 building phases at 12,500. What they're doing here is you need to consider if you're able to complete all of the combat missions throughout the next 7 weeks. If you're able to complete all the combat missions of the next 7 weeks, then the 2 building phases should be just fine for you for the bare minimum. If you believe that you're not going to be able to finish these missions over the next 7 weeks or so, consider picking up the 6 building phases. You will have the Laffey done a little bit more earlier than going all the way 7 weeks out there. And if you really want to, you can buy both of them and have a head start of 8. And again, each building phase that you complete after you've already completed the ship, you get 250 steel on that, up to however long you have remaining on your combat mission. So these are the starter packs. Again, you can be able to pick up both of them for at least 8 phases, and then you will need 3,000 doubloons for each one of the phases thereafter to completely complete it out all the way. We'll come back to the starter packs and build the actual Laffey here in a moment. What I want to go over is the actual combat missions to get the ship. So when you look at your combat missions, you will have a special section called Dockyard right here. And each one of these is going to be open in a series of weeks, usually Wednesday for North America, Thursday for European Union. The event goes for 53 days. You can see it right here up at the top. And also, when it has 1 day available up there, that actually means you have 1 day and plus some time. When this starts to count down hours-wise, then you have less than a day to complete it. When you see these shipbuilding phases, these are required. These are the 20 shipbuilding phases for Laffey. So when you see them here at the top, that they're asking that you complete 6 of these objectives, and some of these objectives will have a building phase in them. Usually the first couple of weeks are fairly easy, meaning that you only need to do like a couple of wins, maybe some incapacitations, maybe a little bit of free experience, maybe even like 2,000 secondary hits and all that kind of stuff. So generally the first couple of weeks are fairly easy. It's usually the very bottom, so the 6th or 7th week, then it becomes a little bit more stressful because you don't progress as quickly as the first couple of weeks. So let's go over a few things. When it comes up to the category of how to complete these missions, you can do them in co-op battles, regular matches, operations, ranked battles. You can even do them in brawls, and the most recent events that just started today or tomorrow, depending on what area you're in, we have the 80-year anniversary of end of World War II operations. So one of the few things that are really interesting about this is that these operations are going for, I think, 42 days-ish. So you should be able to do most of all these missions, for at least for the first 6 weeks, in the World War II operations. So you should be able to complete these, and by the end of this update, there should be asymmetric battles coming around too, so you should be able to complete the asymmetric battles with your 7th week in the Dockyard as well. So just giving you a heads up on that. Some of these missions, it looks like the World War II operations are full credit. So when it comes to incapacitations, for example, here, you can get them in co-op battles, regular matches, ranked matches, and all the operations at full credit. But when it comes to the operations, they are cut in half, meaning that you will have to do 40 incapacitations in the operations. But right now, the World War II operations are at full credit, which is quite nice. So win 3 battles, pretty easy. Incapacitations, again, you can do them in co-op in the new operations themselves. Receive 12 million potential damage. If you play a lot of battleships, especially German battleships in regular matches, you usually have 1 to 2 million potential damage a lot of times every match. So 12 million shouldn't take you very long to get. Free experience, this is the green free experience that you see when you get into a match. You can boost this with boosters. 70,000 experience, this is not base experience, this is regular experience. So if you have any blue boosters and you're grinding any particular tech tree line, this will be very easy to get a hold of. But you can see that this is a specific class mission. So 70, 61, 52, 55 on each one of these. You don't necessarily need to complete all of these missions in order to complete each week of them. You just need to complete 6. What would be interesting is usually at each week they give you somewhat of a challenge mission. So you can complete a challenge mission in a random or a ranked battle and nothing else. So this one here for this week would be 100,000 damage upon your spotting in 1 match. That could be easily done in probably a tier 10 destroyer or even a tier 8 through 10 destroyer, and just basically spot. Be out there, keep an eye out on enemy ships, try not to fire. If you use your smoke screen, you probably won't be spotting, and that's such. You can get this done in any class of ship, even in battleships can happen too. If you have a frontline battleship, you're spotting a bunch of enemies and your friends are firing at them behind you, you will be getting spotting damage. So that's the first week. Here, again, you only need to complete 6 of these here to complete the actual week of the building phase. This week is 12 million potential damage. It can easily be done in most battleships. And potential damage is all shells that miss, ricochet, and torpedoes that miss. That's all potential damage. Week 2, you're looking at 30 set-on fires and floods. Again, these missions are going to be able to be done in the World War II operations. 4.1 million credits if you have a bunch of boosters. This will be really good. Premium ships, especially tier 8 and 9, are really good at earning credits. Tier 10 premium ships will do just fine as well. However, your return investment on tier 10s is usually not as high as tier 9. The tier 10s will earn a great amount of credits on there. You just don't net as much credits as a tier 9 or tier 10, or tier 9 and tier 8. So you can consider running a premium battleship or premium tier 10s to get this one done. In operations, credits are 100%, so there's not cut in half, but in operations, set on fires and cause floodings are usually halved on that. 120,000 damage on floodings and fires. I would suggest keeping an eye on ships that damage control early. If you set a fire on them and they damage control, consider trying to get another fire on them right after that. That fire will last much more longer. That's 120,000 damage, flooding and or fire. Capture system, defend ribbons. I'm glad they actually gave back the defend ribbons. This could be easily done in a co-op battle if you take a destroyer and let the enemy get on the capture point and you reset them. If you reset the capture points, you get defend ribbons. Again, you can also do this in regular matches and ranked, and we will see how that goes with the World War II operations. This may vary. If you have a capture point in brawls, you could probably get a lot of defend ribbons and capture ribbons and brawls for sure. 150 torpedo hits is class specific for carriers. 1,200 secondaries or main batters for battleships. 1,600 main batters or secondaries for cruisers. 45 torpedo hits in a destroyer. It seems like a little grindy all of a sudden. 45 torpedo hits already on week number 2. Considering this is only 7 weeks, I can actually understand that it's kind of a little bit more grindier right at the beginning, and then also you have 100 torpedo hits in submarines. Your bonus mission for week 2 is 1.4 million potential damage in a match. Just like last week, if you bring in a battleship and you do a lot of wiggle, dodging and bobbing and weaving, or a whole lot of torpedo dodging, I wouldn't be surprised if you can get a 1.5 million potential damage in a match, especially like a tier 10 or so. And again, usually battleships rack up quite a bit of potential damage. So this is your challenge, 1.44 million potential damage in a match. Week 3. Oh, base experience. 10,500 base experience. I will return to the base experience on how to calculate how much this time it might take you to complete this. There is base experience in tiers and the week 6 and week 7. This one here, let's see, 1,200 main batters and secondaries, no class specific, but it is required for shipbuilding process. 2,500 ribbons, doesn't specify any type of class restrictions, so something like a Minotaur, Barbariano, there's going to just rack up ribbons all day long. 130,000 experience. If you use any blue or red boosters on any ships that you're grinding, you should be able to get 130,000 pretty easily. Up your team costs 700,000 damage. This is carrier specific. You do get a lot of spotting damage in carriers, mainly because you have planes over ships and somebody else is firing at them. Again, spotting damage is basically your friends have to fire at the enemies, not necessarily you, but you are spotting them. 1.3 million damage in battleships. Again, most of these are going to be able to be done in your World War II operations. If you decide to do it in operations, it's going to cost you 2.6 million damage done in the operations, because remember, it's cut in half. But everything else is full credit. 830,000 damage in main batter, secondaries, and cruisers. 280,000 damage. So this week 3 is basically a lot of damage. Any particular class ship that you take is going to require a lot of damage. And your challenge one is 4 kills in 1 battle, and regular and ranked matches is your challenge one. Again, you only need to complete 6 of these here to complete this week's shipbuilding phase. Week number 4, win 10 battles. This is not cut in half in operations or any World War II operations, so you can basically get wins in anything. Any type of battle that you have, choose from. You can get 10 wins for it, and that's actually a shipbuilding phase for the dockyard. Next one, what's required is 18 million potential damage. Coming back to the potential damage again, that is shells that miss, shells that ricochet, do no damage, and torpedoes that miss. That's all potential damage. So if you're generally a battleship player, you should rack up potential damage pretty easily. If you decide to do these in operations, it's going to be double the amount of potential damage, but everything else is at full credit. 100 aircraft shot down by fighter. Shot down by fighter means those consumables that you have on your ships that you can pop the fighter plane. Or if you use a carrier dropping your fighter plane, interceptors can count as the aircraft shot down too. Anything that has a really good AA, you can division up with the carrier if you so please, and you can probably get a bunch of planes shot down. Again, these operations are available for most of the stockyards, so you should be able to get them in World War II ops there too. If you decide to do them in operations, it's going to do 200 shot down for it. 200,000 commander experience, no particular class ship required on this one, so put in a couple of boosters, economic boosters, particularly the commander experience boosters, and premium ships. Premium time will definitely help out on this. 200,000 is, I would say, it's not necessarily hard to do. Should be fairly easy. 7 million credits again. So this one here for week 4 is credits. Every specific ship that you have, battleship, destroyer, cruisers, carriers, is all millions of credits or so. Again, if you have blue boosters, red boosters, really easy to get these done in a few matches. Some of our scenario matches with like GK can rack up 1.5 million damage. Or not, sorry, 1.5 million credits. And a standard operation, sometimes even with the flagship operations, could be quite a bit. Again, most of these missions are going to be able to be completed in World War II operations. So if you're hounding these and getting these done, then you should be able to earn the credits here too for this one. 2,500 base experience in a regular match or ranked match. If you do really well in a regular match or ranked match, 2,500 could be easy to be done. It could be easily done if you do well, but if you primarily lose a lot of your matches, then 2,500 base might take you a bit to do. Again, only 6 needed for this week. Week number 5, help your team cause 140,000 damage upon your spotting. Again, this is basically you are spotting an enemy and your friends and your allies are shooting them. That is basically how it's calculated. So if you're a carrier, your plane's being over an enemy ship and our friends or your friends are shooting the ship, that's spotting damage. Same thing with destroyers. If you are not in smoke and you're sitting there actively watching the enemy ships across the map and your allies are firing at them, that's potential damage. This is not a 140 in one battle, so this is a cumulative. Basically just get 140,000 spotted damage over a series of battles. 30 destruction ribbons. This is not in one battle, of course, but you can do them in co-op battles, you can do them in brawls, ranked, regular matches, World War II operations. If you decide to do them in Operation Standard, there'll be 60 destruction ribbons. This is a required one for shipyard, dockyard. 150,000 experience. This is not base experience. This is just after all your daily wins and any of your boosters, premium time that's added to it. If you're grinding in a particular ship, 150,000 experience shouldn't be really hard to do. 2.2 million damage to ships. No class specific, so just get your damage done in any of these type of battles. 1,600 ribbons in a aircraft carrier, so that can potentially be a little bit of a grind there. So choose a particular aircraft carrier that gives you a lot of ribbon counts. You can do them in co-op battles and brawls, well, maybe brawls. But you could also do them in the World War II operations if the carrier is able to be run. 2,000 ribbons in a battleship. If you bring in a lot of tier 10 secondary ships, you can get the ribbons pretty easily. Same thing here if you have a cruiser, let's say like a couple of the secondary, like Napoli kind of thing, you should be able to rack up quite a bit of ribbons and secondaries for the cruisers itself. If you have any high rate of fire destroyers, 1,900 ribbons can be easily done too. Again, any of these operations can be done. If you do them in scenarios or operations, it's going to be twice as many. 500 ribbons for the submarines. Your bonus one is 225,000 damage. This is doable in higher tiers. I have gotten 225,000 minimum damage in several matches, usually in tier 10s or even super ships. If you have super ships, 220,000 damage could be easily done in a lot of battleships, actually. Super ship battleships can rack up quite a bit of damage, so if you want to consider doing that in one match, you can do that for week number 5. Week number 6 is where it starts to get a little bit more grindy. Receive 15 million potential damage. This is required. Coming back to the potential damage, if you use a lot of battleships, you should be able to complete this by just enemies shooting at you, dodging torpedoes, any shells that miss you, ricochet, break, and any torpedoes that don't hit you is all potential damage calculated. If you decide to do it in operations, you'll have to double this at 30 million potential damage. This is a shipbuilding that's required. Over the series of the week, you shouldn't have any problem getting potential damage. Just play the game, basically. And 10 battles, join the top 3 of your experience received. Easily can be done in operations if you decide to do them, because you only bring in 7 persons anyways. Just be the top 3 experience center, or any of the World War II operations. This week should be like the last week for the World War II operations. Asymmetric battles should be coming in week 6 or week 7. Should be around there. Caused 260,000 damage done by fires and flooding. Again, my recommendation for this is pay attention to any ships that damage control early. So if you light a fire on a ship and you see the fire go out, that means he used the damage control, or they used the damage control. Wait somewhere anywhere between 10 to 20 seconds or so, fire again, and if you light a fire after that fire will last much more significantly longer, sometimes anywhere between 30 seconds to up to almost 2 minutes, depending on the ship class that you're firing at. So 260,000 damage and fires and flooding. Same thing with floodings. If you end up getting a torpedo hit in the damage control, you get another torpedo hit, then that damage from flooding can work quite well. Something like a Jaeger can probably pull off a lot of flooding damage as well. 52,000 free experience. If you have boosters on the free experience, plug those in, especially for 8, 9, and 10 and super ships. And depending on the type of missions that you decide to do them in, it's full credit in operations for the free experience. 35,000 base experience. This is where it starts to get a little grindy. Now, this is 35,000 base experience per class. So 35 here, 40,000, 38.5, 36,000. 33.5, depending on each one of the class of ships that you decide to run. You can calculate your base experience by looking at your profile. Go to your profile settings, and you'll have the number at the middle of the screen will tell you what your base experience is. In fact, I'll go ahead and do that. We'll return to the combat missions here in a moment. So if you go to your profile, and you go to summary, there we are. This number right here in the middle is basically what your base experience average is. So make sure if you're looking at doing randoms or co-op, take a look at this number right here. So when you look at your profile details and go to random or co-op, this is your average base experience right here. So if you have a, let's say a 30,000 base experience or so, or 40,000, let's say 40,000 base experience, and you divide this by your average base experience or so, then it'll take you roughly 22 matches to do, roughly. Each match will be variable because you might not have an 1800 base experience on one, but then you might have a 2400 base experience thereafter. Usually how I calculate this too is if it's 22 battles, I can usually get 4 battles in an hour if I do regular matches. So something like 40,000 base experience might take me 5.5 hours to complete. So you can calculate this by looking at your own profile and taking how much base experience you usually get on average, divide the total up on the average, and then divide it by 4 again. If you're able to get 4 matches in an hour, that's how many hours it'll take you to complete your 40,000. That's how I usually calculate it. We'll come back to this too again. So if we come back to the combat missions and look at week number 6, this is where this was at. So it's 35,000 for the CV, 40,000 for the battleship, 38.5 for cruisers, 36 for destroyers, 33.5 for submarines. Each one of these is separate, means that you can't get base experience from battleship and cruisers. Great thing is, if you do a lot of operations, base experience is not cut in half. So you should be able to get all full base experience off of operations and every other type of mission that you decide to do with them. In one battle, 15 fires or flooding can only be done in regular matches and ranked. 15 fires can be done on very high rate of fire cruisers or battleships that get a lot of fires. This is in one match, and it has to be done in regular matches, or ranked cannot be done in operations and such like that. So there's your week 6. This is where the base experience starts to hit in. You'll start to feel the grind there. Week 7, 45 incapacitations. Again, you can do them, well, I don't think we're going to have the World War II missions available at the 7th week. I think by this time we should have another update, and where our asymmetric battles might be back, which could be halved. But operations will be half, but if you get incapacitations in co-op battles, regular matches, ranked, and brawls, 45 incapacitations total. It's not a requirement, but it'll help for your total of 6. 3,500 ribbons. Any type of secondary battleships or secondary cruisers, minotaurs, anything that has a really high rate of fire should be able to get rack up quite a bit of ribbons. Again, I don't think these missions are going to be available in 7th week. This will probably change, but co-op battles and regular matches pretty easy to do for 3,500. It might take you quite a few rounds though, depending on the type of ships that you decide to use. 50,000 base experience. Well, here we are. So this mission opens in 1 month and 11 days, approximately 42 days, and you have approximately 53 days to complete it. So usually the last week is usually 2 weeks long. They give you usually 2 weeks to complete this. 50,000 experience. Again, if we come back to our calculator again, if we do 50,000 base experience and we divide that, let's say, by 1900 for my base experience, we're looking at 26.31 matches. And if we divide this by 4 for approximately 4 matches an hour, I'm looking at 6.5 hours. So 6.5 hours to complete 50,000 base experience. This is not as bad as the last Dockyard when it was like 99,000 base experience. 99,000 base experience is a heck of a lot of base experience to get. Basically taking what I have here, 6.5 hours, basically doubling it to 13 hours to complete 99,000 base experience. So this might be a little grindy, but again, you have 2 weeks to complete it. The best thing I would suggest doing is rank matches, brawl matches do rank up quite a bit of base experience. If you do really well in operations and regular matches, you should be able to knock out the 50,000. This is probably going to be the most grindiest part of this Dockyard right here. The most grindiest part of this Dockyard will likely be the 50,000 base experience here. So in the last 2 weeks that you're on it, this is going to take your most time. But basically, if you play the game, period, you should be able to get base experience no matter what game mode that you play. 2.6 million damage to ships with main batteries or secondaries. Brawls, your soon asymmetric battles. Operations is going to be double that. Any type of battles in here, just get it done with main batteries or secondaries. This does not account for flooding and fires, FYI. So fires and floodings do not count for this. 220 aircraft shut down by fighters. Your consumable or aircraft carrier patrol fighters should be able to knock this out too. If you use Yorktown or Essex and use your smoke and just go charging into the other side, especially in a co-op battle, you'd be surprised how many actual planes you can get shot down. Or if you have the 7 Providence or Friesland, any of those can be able to knock out. Well, actually, you can't do that. That's bad. That's carrier. So Essex or Yorktown, smoke it up on the way on the other side to get close to the other carrier, and you should be able to knock out some planes. I've done this before in the past, especially in co-op battles, because you're going to have a carrier on the other side. You smoke up your carrier, get to the other side with it, and you should be able to knock out quite a bit of planes with it. Otherwise, use your patrol fighters too. 3,000 secondaries and main batteries for battleships. Self-explanatory. Probably secondary battleships. Probably pretty easy to do. 115 set on fires or floodings with cruisers. Right around this time, you should have asymmetric battles, but asymmetric battles might be cut in half. So you may have to do 230 fires, set on fires and cause floodings. 100 set on fires with the destroyer, anything that has HEs and or flooding too. You can do Jaeger. Jaeger does a lot of flooding or shimikazes. 20 destruction ribbons and a submarine. And in one battle, get 10 citadels in one battle, and that's going to be done on random or ranked matches only. That is a bonus one. I think week 6 was the Kraken. No, wait. So there's no Kraken this this dockyard, is there? No, there is not. Usually, by the last week, they usually want you to get 5 kills in a match in regular matches in ranked. So not this time around. Maybe because it's only 7 weeks and not a total of 8 weeks. So, otherwise, though, the first couple of weeks up to week 6, you should be able to complete most of these in the World War II operations. Your last week here at week 7, we should have asymmetric battles back, and you should be able to complete them in asymmetric battles too. Your week 6 and week 7 are going to be your most grindy because of the base experience. And we'll come back here to the base experience again. Just a reminder on that to show you where you can find your base experience. It's under your summary, under your profile, and if you go into each one of them, you can see how much your average base experience is. If you do them in co-op, your base experience is going to take you a long time to do. And if you do a lot of ranked matches, you should probably get through your base experience pretty quickly because ranked matches are actually pretty good for base experience. All right, all your combat missions are covered. Let's go ahead and put in our starter packs and then build it. So again, once you start getting... Oh, here we go. So the starter packs are only available for the first 4 shipbuilding phases. So if you end up not picking up the starter packs and you go and complete your missions, I believe that's going to be like after a second week or so. If you've already completed 4 shipbuilding phases and not picked up the starter packs are not going to be available. So that means that you will be paying full price for each one of the building phases that you did not complete by missions. So let's go ahead and do our first 2, and we get to see it being built. You can also skip the animations completely by clicking on collect the reward, and it'll just basically just give you the rewards for it. That is if you're not interested in watching it being built. So, the first starter pack gives you 2 building orders, and then there is a second starter pack that gives you 6. So we'll go ahead and collect the rewards for the first 2 here. We're going to go back into details, and we're going to go ahead and do the 6 shipbuildings. Notice how I can't still buy the next one because they don't want you to necessarily throw away your doubloons and get paying full price for the next couple of phases when they're actually offering you right here on it. This actually came up before on one of my streams. How can I cannot complete the dockyard by just throwing the doubloons at it? Well, go pick up your 2 discounted ones first. Then it will allow you to buy the actual remaining. So we're going to go ahead and buy the next 6 building phases. We're going to watch it being built out. Do your part to prevent fire. See that building back there? A lot of times these dockyards will have some very unique details in the background too. So if you're paying attention, you'll have like these engines and such that are kind of be sitting out there. You'll see all these little parts on the left-hand side of there being basically lifted and put in place. Obviously, you don't see the cranes on each one of them because it would take a much more longer to watch the animation. So these are still what kind of, I don't want to say paraphrase, but quickly put in place, not seeing all the cranes and stuff move around, putting every little details into it and such. So, but you can still like take a look and whatnot and just see each one of the compartments and engines and all that good stuff being put in place there too. So we should be coming up to the last one, and then we're going to have to buy the remaining parts of the building phases. I usually build these ships out every dockyard. I have a steady amount of recruits that end up buying stuff, and since I am the recruiter, I get 10% of the purchases that they get. So if they purchase premium time doubloons or containers, the recruiter usually gets about 10% of the doubloons cost for it. So I do have a general steady of doubloons coming in for it. So I have gotten a comment before It was up to like 600,000 doubloons at one point or another, but it has steadily gone down by certain packages being available and just buying them. All right, so when you're done with the 2 starter packs, you're presented with this here at the very end, and if we want to complete by doubloons, we can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, off to basically the remaining, and it's going to cost me 36,000 doubloons. So you got your 5,000, your 12,500, and your 36,000 doubloons, all 3 of them complete in order for you to get the Laffey all the way out on the first go. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Here we go. So this is going to take us from phase 8 all the way to the ending of 20 phases. So just a reminder that you should be able to complete 80% of the ship via just the missions. However, if you do not opt in for the starter packs at the beginning, it will cost you 6,000 doubloons minimum in order for you to complete it. If you opt in for the starter pack at the beginning, it would be 5,000 doubloons plus 7 weeks of grinding. So I do have a kind of a thing on my channel. It's either you pay for it by your money or you pay for it by your time. So if you spend a lot of time in ships, then you don't necessarily need to shell out very much money. But if you don't have very much time to play ships, you're probably going to have to shell out some type of money in order for you to complete each one of these dockyard ships. We have a little intro video comes out. Tugboat. Alright, and we continue the next phases here. We're at phase 14 out of 20. Just really start to see the compartments on the upper decks here now too being built. Really cool. You got these vehicles on the outside here too, and all the materials. There's actually people walking around back here too. You gotta also think about when the time period these ships were being built. There's anywhere between 1910 to like 1945 or so. You have these World War I and World War II kind of vehicles and constructions. Pretty much after World War II, there's a lot of differences on the way they're constructed and such, and dockyards and such. So Warships does quite a bit of detail on these things here. Even if some of these dockyards really didn't exist for some ships, they get pretty close to being what it looks like, though, or what it would have been looked like before. So we have, I think we saw the torpedo tubes are starting to get mounted here. There they are. So Laffey has 2 sets of 5 torpedoes, so a total of 10. They are only 8-kilometer torpedoes. They're not the 15s that you get on like gearing and such on there. They're pretty fast to reload though too, considering their short range. The main thing about the Laffey was that it has a variable smoke charge, so you don't have to smoke all the time with it with one consumable. You can just smoke when you need it and then turn off the smoke. So here we are. Ooh, off the coast of Okinawa, April 16, 1945. Oh! It's a cool little video. You have completed 20 shipbuilding phases and can obtain Laffey. So let's go ahead and collect reward, and we should have everything else in here for all the shipbuilding phases. If we do a collect, should have all of them. I think I already have Laffey in here, so I might get shipbuilding phases, equipment purchase, bundle received, shipbuilding phases. Permanent camouflage, all that sort of stuff that was removed earlier. A lot of times I might get compensation and such for having it ready for being a CC, but lately I haven't been getting a lot of compensation like we used to on there. So a few things coming back to it for the Dockyard. If you end up completing Laffey all together, all the way out, any additional missions that you continue to work on and complete will be 250 steel. That can be higher depending on if you're in a clan that has extra bonuses for your steel. Some of your clans can have some extra bonuses on there, so it could even be as high as 300 steel or more for each one of the building phases. I think it's like usually 275, so it's only like 25 more. Nearly 300. But that's, again, if you complete it out and each one of the shipbuilding phases on there complete. For when you come back to the Dockyard, your starter packs are no longer really available, so I can't really go back in there and show you what it is. But here's your Laffey. Coming back to it again, it comes with their little cool camouflage, the really battle-beaten kind of camouflage and such for the Laffey, which is really cool aesthetic here. You don't necessarily need to keep that camouflage. You can change it to something that's a little more cleaner, slick, and such like that. But this is the battle-hardened Laffey camouflage here. So, real quick on the Laffey, I'll return to it here as well. HEAP 8-kilometer torpedoes, variable burst fire. You can do 3 burst fire. It already has a very fast higher fire rating already. So if you really want to just wreck a destroyer, but you may have to wait for you to reload if you don't finish them off. Standard damage control. Smoke generator is the variable. Word of advice, any captain skill, signal flag, and or upgrade available here, and it does not affect the actual smoke generator because it is a 1 consumable. So captain skills, for example, the superintendent will not affect the smoke generator, and generally the enhanced consumables in here and specialization does not increase the actual time that you get. It only decreases the preparation time for you to basically have it available again. Minimum charge for it is 10 seconds. So when you pop the smoke, you have 10 seconds that it's the minimum before you can turn it off. You'll hear a kind of a clink kind of sound. It's very it's there, but if you're not paying attention, you may not hear it. That's basically giving you telling you that you can turn off the smoke, and then you have a 30-second time before you can activate again. So when you pop your smoke, you have a minimum of 10 seconds for the smoke to stay a charge, and then in order for you to pop your smoke again, you have to wait 30 seconds. That's how it works. But you ultimately only get 80 seconds of smoke screen, period. There is no way to extend this for captain skills, signal flags, or by upgrades. This could change in the future. Again, I'm recording this day of the launch, so this could change if you're looking for more information on Laffey here on that. Basically, I'm just covering the Dockyard itself. So, coming back to a couple frequently asked questions. Can you complete the Dockyard by not purchasing doubloons or by any type of currency? No. There is no compensation for any ships previously owned on this run. Some of the previous Dockyards, if you had a ship already available, they could give you an extra Dockyard phases or 2. Not this time around. This one is very simple. 20 phases. 18 phases can be completed by missions alone. 2 phases you will still have to purchase either after completing all the combat missions or picking up the minimum starter pack of 5,000 doubloons on it. So here's your starter packs and information about the Dockyard itself. I'm trying to think of anything else that I may not have covered. Oh, booster, real quick. So boosters. This is where when it comes to credit earning, regular experience, commander's experience, and free experience boosters, this is where blue boosters and red boosters are going to be very effective for your Dockyards, especially the credit boosters. Credit boosters are kind of rare right now, so if you have any of the blue ones, you might want to hold on to them until you get missions for credit earning. So probably just use your gray or green boosters for now, and then maybe use your blue boosters and red boosters when that time comes for those missions. You can knock them out much more faster if you use blue and red boosters on the same thing here for experience. I wouldn't suggest using the experience boosters on premium ships because the experience just goes to the premium ships, and you'll have to use doubloons to take the experience off of it. So mainly you want to use the experience if you're grinding something. So if you have a ship that you're grinding, put on your blue boosters or red boosters on those ships, and then you can be able to get quite a bit of experience. Especially if it comes up to the end at the week 7 when asymmetric battles comes around, I can see a lot of people grinding out regular ships. This one here is Commander's Experience. Once more, if you have blue or red boosters, Commander Experience, put them on a premium ship with premium time, and these boosters, you will rack up quite a bit of Commander Experience. And same thing with free experience here. So free experience is the green stars that you see in the top right-hand corner right now on my screen, but you can boost these up to 7,200% on the base of like, what, 5% on there. So even if it is 7,200%, it's based off of 5% of your experience, so it's not as high as you think it is. But it will still knock out quite a bit of free experience if you decide to use the blue boosters and the red boosters. You get a couple of these red boosters that closer to the end of the dockyard, but you can save them to the next dockyard, because usually we have 2 dockyards every year. And there you are. If you ever have any questions about the missions, I know that there's a World War II, end of World War II event going on for the first at least 6 weeks for the dockyard for Laffey. You should really utilize those. Each one of these missions, also consider how much time you might have. If you spend a lot of time in the World War ships, you may just have to get away with the 5,000 doubloon starter pack for the first 2 starter packs. If you don't spend a lot of time in ships, or if you feel like you're not going to be able to spend a lot of time on ships, consider dropping the 6 starter pack on it and have a little bit more advancement on the dockyard, and you'll be able to complete it a little bit earlier. Or if you want steel, I have frequently asked questions, how do you get some more steel? If you go in there and did what I just did here and complete the dockyard completely out, if you complete the dockyard completely out, then you will be able to get 250 steel for each one of the missions that you complete on here. So what I mean by this is that if you have the dockyard completed and each one of the building phases that you would normally complete, you get 250 steel. And if you're in a clan, you would get a little bit more on that. Yeah. Come by the Twitch streams if you like. I'm a community contributor for World of Warships for both the PC version North America and for Legends. If you ever have any questions for Legends too, you're more than welcome to drop by. My live streams are on Twitch, HYF, the number 1RE, usually Monday through Friday, starting at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 Eastern. You can also go here to YouTube Live. I usually do co-streaming, meaning I stream on both the YouTube Live section and also on Twitch. But otherwise, you can leave comments here on the video too. I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. Usually, I will put in frequently asked questions on the description and how much doubloons it costs for each one of the dockyards, usually in the description itself too. So if you're coming by just to find out how much doubloons it'll cost, or if there's a frequently asked question like can you complete it without putting doubloons in, or how long it would take, or if you're just here to check out the missions on there too, and advice on the missions too, you can drop a comment on there too. Otherwise, like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and hope to see you guys on the live streams. Come on by for any frequently asked questions. Enjoy the dockyard, and good luck on your Laffey. Thanks again for tuning in. Appreciate it. Have a good day. Bye.